I look back on my life and I think, okay, here I am. I'm 100 years old. I've passed away. I'm going to give my own eulogy now. And it's an exercise, right? It's a mental exercise. Obviously, you're dead. You can't give your own eulogy. That's the beauty of this imagination. So I'm looking back now, and maybe I come up with an example, right? Supportive. I've already had. I can come up with an example of a time where I wasn't as supportive to other people as I wished that I was. And I can reframe that for myself. And what would I do moving forward, right? So I have a friend who has gone through a hard time in his marriage. I have a friend who's gone through a hard time when he lost a family member. I showed up and I was supportive. I understood that they needed to just be sat with sometimes. That being there for the other person was enough energy. And I remember we sat and we talked and he shared with me a story. And now I write a little bit. Just a little bit, and it doesn't have to be long, just a sentence or two. He shared a story, and we chuckled about a funny memory he had about his grandmother, about his mother, about his father, whoever it is. And right, that joy in that moment, I remember when he looked at me and said, thanks, I really needed that. Those kinds of moments meant a lot to me. Right? Meant a lot to me because, again, I'm looking back at my life, and I see these types of moments. I do the same thing. Let's say, creative is one of the characteristics. Right? You get the picture. All you're doing is you're writing in pieces. Don't make it harder than it has to be. So start with adjectives, then a sentence or two about why that's important, and then a memory or two about, or it doesn't even have to be, well, it is a memory in the exercise, but a type of moment. Generosity is an example. I looking back, I remember there was this time that my wife and I were at a zoo because we enjoy going to zoos, and my wife and I were at a zoo, and there were some really great people there, and I was able to make a donation right there on the spot, and no praise, no fanfare, but I made a large donation to that zoo because of the good work they were doing and the people there. Or I met a young person there who I made a heavy-handed tip to so that they could pursue whatever dream it was. Maybe it was the photography kid. He wanted to be a marine biologist, and I remember I gave him, $1,000 because I had the financial freedom to do so. Right? Whatever it is, right? These are fabricated memories, but these are the types of moments that I want to see looking back. So I go out the 100 years and I create this, what seems like a fantasy life, because it's my eulogy. I get to imagine the kind of person that I want to become. That's the eulogy exercise. Right? There's more to it. I'll share it with you if you're interested in it. Like I said, I've got it in a workshop format, a workbook format. I can convert it to for you. And the value becomes, now that I've thought about it, now that I've considered it, now that I know what the result looks like, I know why I want it, because that's part of the exercise. And some other exercises we're going to do are going to be about purpose and about finding your why. Like, how do you discover your why? What is your real motivation for being in life? Now that I have that laid out, my action plan is going to be different than if I was just trying to figure out, what am I going to do with my life?